I'm Rosie Bloomfield, and my magazine was called Unconventional. I included a masthead, a dateline, a website, lead article. I followed the left third slightly, but I also put cover lines over to the right because I wanted the balance of the amount of text on the front cover to look right. My magazine would be mainstream because it follows most of the conventionals of the typical magazines, but it has small twists. I wanted my front cover to be a little different to the conventional magazine, so it doesn't have everything you may expect. I didn't include a selling line or a slogan because I felt that the masthead gave you a big enough impression of my magazine without you needing a little thing to add to it. I chose a photo which had bright colours, and then I used a contrasting colour with the purple so that it stood out against the background. From my audience feedback, quite a few people said that the main image should have been in better focus. But I chose to use this photo because it really gave the sense that the photo was a live shot, which was a spare of the moment thing, and you can tell the energy the band have on stage from how the photo is an imperfect focus. It gives a strong impression of the band and how energetic their music and live shows are. For my contents page, I decided to use a typical layout because I wanted it to be simple and easy to follow. The main purpose of my contents page was to inform the readers of what it is in the magazine, and I tried to make my contents page serve this purpose. I used 3 completely different photos which portrayed each band in a different way, because I wanted it to show that my music magazine covered more than one genre. I used the same colour scheme as I did on the front cover because I wanted my magazine to have a firm house style and to carry on to the double page spread. I separated the contents into sections such as features, gig reviews, regulars and win because I wanted them to pull in the attention of my audience and pull in the audience. From my audience feedback, one of the things my target audience says was that the contents page was a little too dark compared to the rest. I wanted this to be a little different from the double page spread because the double page spread was meant to be the main pull for the artist and the thing that they really wanted to read. So this was just like to help them guide through the magazine, and it wasn't as important, I didn't think. For my double page spread, I decided to use the same purple from the front cover to make it obvious that the double page spread was part of the magazine. I used an unconventional font for the article heading because I wanted it to stand out and look different from other magazines. I decided to use smaller photos spaced out over 2 pages to break up big chunks of text. I decided this would appeal more to my target audience because they would want to see what the band were like live. And then when I had got their interest, they would read the article. I chose to use the 2 pull quotes because the band I featured had 2 lead singers, and I felt that it was important to have quotes from both of them so that you had an idea of the personalities of the band. From my audience feedback, my target audience liked the photos on the double page spread the most, but were not that keen on the purple background. I decided to do this so that it kept with the house style of the magazine. I wanted the photography and text used to portray the artist well. I wanted it to be obvious that the band were funny, confident and genuine guys who were easy to get along with. I wanted the reader to feel the band valued their fans and that made the music for them, not as much for the money or fame. I wanted to show that the band thought a huge part of supporting them was going to live gigs, and that I did this by using photos from the gig to show the kind of show they put on for their fans. I used quotes from the videos I took at the gig to put into the article because I couldn't actually get an interview with the band, and to give the true idea of what the band was like. From my audience feedback, it was clear that the way I wanted to portray the band was obvious from the photos and what I said in the article. Everyone seemed to get the idea that the guys in the band were fun and just wanted to have a good time. One person even pointed out the fact that I used live shots of the band to show that the band in a positive light and shows the connection between them and their fans. They were some of the comments that people said about my magazine, such as rock band. The front cover shows that they're a rock band, and the font use suggests quite a rebellious yet fun band. They were bright and lively. They seem safe, which was Will. Don't care what people think, rockers. It shows the band in a positive light, that the photos show interaction with the crowd. It makes them look cool, makes people want to see them live, and as being fun, informal and laid back. a rock punk band with the use of dark colours and crowd shots. I would distribute mine on Bauer because after looking through their website and seeing what other magazines they distributed, I decided that they, with a magazine like Kerrang, they would have a similar audience to my magazine, so they would know where it was best to sell it so that I could get higher sales. And my magazine would be slightly different from any of the others that they have already, so they would be interested in maybe marketing it. I would also launch it online because this would appeal to my target audience. With the way technology is changing and evolving, a lot of teenagers would prefer not to buy a hard copy of a magazine and would quite happily read it on the internet because it's easy and they can do it in the comfort of their own home for free. I still think it would be worth releasing the paper version of my magazine because I know a lot of my target audience buy magazines just for the posters and photos to stick on their wall. My audience would be teenagers ranging from the age of 15 to 19 who have a real passion for music. My magazine would suit both females and males because it would appeal to the wider audience, which would make it more likely to be popular. In my audience feedback, most of the people agreed that my magazine is aimed at both sexes and they would appeal to both of them for different reasons. I designed a reader's profile which gives a clear idea of my target audience and even some of their favourite bands, websites, shops and brands. My magazine will be aimed at people who enjoy going to live shows and will include a lot of exclusive live photos of their favourite bands. Before I made my magazine, I asked my target audience some of their interests and favourite things, and this was all included in my reader's profile to the right. I learned that there was a lot of technology online to help you create and distribute things easily. It makes life a lot easier than having to do everything by hand or in person. Before this task, I had no experience with programs I was needing to use. I had to learn how to use SurveyMonkey, and I found that it's really useful for producing surveys and it's really quick to distribute the surveys once they're made. It is a much more effective way of getting audience feedback than writing out surveys and having to give them out to people, or actually doing it face to face. To help distribute the surveys, I uploaded a link onto my Facebook and let all my friends do it because they would be more helpful and I'd get more replies that way. Another website I had to use was Blogger, and I thought this was a really good idea to have all my work in one place and to present it in a way that I liked it. In order to put slideshows onto a blog, I used SlideShare, which was an easy way of importing PowerPoints. The main thing I learnt during the process of making my magazine was how to use Photoshop. At the beginning, it was quite difficult to get the effects how I wanted them, and by the end I think I was getting a lot better with editing my photos. The main thing I've learned during this task is how to use the new programs that I hadn't used before. At the beginning, my knowledge of Photoshop was very limited, and I found it hard to get the effect I wanted when editing photos. By the end of this task, I feel a lot more confident with Photoshop, and I know most of the tools and how to use them in the best possible way. I've also learned how important it is to present an artist in a way that appeals to your target audience, because if you don't like the artist, they won't buy the magazine. I've also learned how to appeal to my target audience and to meet their expectations. I've also learnt the typical conventions of music magazines and now understand why magazines wish to present certain views and values to their readers. After research into other magazines, I also learned how to lay out and write an article. It taught me how to grab the attention of my target audience and how to keep them interested once I got their attention. That's it.
Question.